Hey guys, today brings another 50 facts video. This time featuring 50 facts about the droid General Grievous. Before his transformation into a cyborg, General Grievous was a Kaleesh warrior. In his cyborg armor, General Grievous stands 2.16 meters tall. Like all others of his species, General Grievous has yellow eyes. In Legends, the reason Grievous had to be turned into a cyborg was an explosion involving the shuttle he was traveling in. However, General Grievous was a feared warrior even before his transformation. In Legends, his people waged war against the neighboring Hook species, who had invaded their planet Kalee. At that time, Grievous was still known as Kaiman J. Shilal. Under Grievous's leadership, the Kalee managed to drive the Hook off their planet and take the war to the Hook homeworld. In a panic, the Hook called upon the Republic and thus the Jedi for help. The Jedi in turn brought the war back to Kalee. By this time, Grievous was already working for the intergalactic banking clan and was attempting to rush back to his home planet when his shuttle exploded. The explosion was triggered by a bomb that Count Dooku had ordered to be planted there. Dooku was looking for a test subject on whom he could try out advanced cyborg technology. Grievous, who barely survived the explosion, was the perfect candidate. Thus, Sanhil, the head of the intergalactic banking clan, transformed Grievous into a cyborg, intending for the newly forming separatists to use him against the Republic and against the Jedi. To keep Grievous alive during this process, Dooku provided frozen blood from the former Jedi Sifo-Dyas. Thanks to its high concentration of midichlorians, it ensured that Grievous did not die prematurely. Not much remained of Grievous himself. Only his brain, fragments of his skull, and his vital organs. Clad in his cyborg armor, Grievous weighed 159 kilograms. His new cyborg existence also allowed Grievous to wield 4 arms, even though his species, the Kaleesh, had only 2 arms. Harboring a deep hatred for the Republic and above all the Jedi, Grievous agreed to work for the Separatists and fight the very people he so intensely loathed. Yet he himself hated his new existence almost as much as he hated the Jedi. Grievous had little regard for droids, and by extension his new body, which was composed almost entirely of droid parts. When Dooku presented Grievous with his first lightsaber and referred to him as a droid, Grievous flew into such a rage that he destroyed all the Magna Guards around him using that very weapon. Despite his loathing, Grievous remained absolutely loyal to both Dooku and Sidious, recognizing that the two were essential to wiping out the hated Jedi. This hatred of droids and of his own body also caused Grievous to loathe Newt Gunray. Gunray was accustomed to treating droids with great condescension. He treated Grievous exactly the same way, which did nothing to foster a good relationship between the two. General Grievous was slated to become the leader of the separatist droid armies and to hunt down Jedi. However, this required further training. While he was already an exceptional warrior and his cyborg nature granted him unprecedented power, facing Jedi was an entirely different challenge. Consequently, Count Dooku personally trained Grievous in lightsaber combat. In doing so, he did not adopt an existing lightsaber form, but instead developed his own unique fighting style. He relied on speed and the stamina provided by his new body, as well as the element of surprise created by the sudden unfolding of his arms. Surprise is a key factor here, as it was half the battle for Grievous when hunting Jedi. His strength and lightsaber skills were essential for defeating Jedi. Yet none of that would have availed him against a powerful Force user. Thus Grievous had to ensure the Jedi could not utilize the Force. The calmer and more focused a Jedi was, the easier it was for them to connect with and wield the Force. Therefore, Grievous made every effort to throw his opponents off balance and disrupt them so thoroughly that they could not employ their Force abilities. Fear also played a significant role, specifically the fear he instilled in his potential victims. In time, Grievous became known as a Jedi killer, a reputation that terrified weaker Jedi at the mere thought of him. Moreover, Grievous always proceeded in a highly methodical manner. He always singled out the weakest first, ensuring that the stronger ones were left alone and terrified afterward. What kept Grievous alive was then the fact that whenever he realized he couldn't throw his opponents off balance, he would simply flee and hunt Jedi another time. We can see an example of such an escape attempt during the battle between Grievous and Obi-Wan on Utapau. Grievous realized he couldn't break through Obi-Wan's incredibly strong Form 3 defense, having already lost several hands in the process, and decided to flee. However, Obi-Wan got lucky in this instance and was able to defeat Grievous quite easily. Grievous' transformation into a cyborg took place on Geonosis. That was also where he was located in the Legends continuity when the first Battle of Geonosis began, the one we see in Attack of the Clones. It was there too that he managed to kill his first Jedi, Ursema Du. She had been tasked with scouting the catacombs beneath the Geonosian arena, where she encountered Grievous and was defeated by him. General Grievous' coughing was a result of his cyborg technology. At the time of his rebirth, the tech wasn't advanced enough to allow his lungs to function fully. However, the coughing worsened shortly before his death in Legends. Mace Windu used the Force to crush Grievous' torso while he was in the act of abducting Chancellor Palpatine from Coruscant. General Grievous' cyborg body was constructed from a duranium alloy. Duranium was highly durable, yet relatively lightweight, capable of withstanding even glancing lightsaber blows. Driven by his loathing for droids and his own body, Grievous decided to outfit both himself and his Magna Guards with traditional Kaleesh masks and capes. Years after Grievous' death, his body was given a second life. It was used to construct the droid NK Necrosis, which you could find in Star Wars Galaxies. Grievous' face mask eventually found its way onto the black market, where Grand Admiral Thrawn purchased it, drawn by its artistic qualities. Grievous also continued to influence his own people long after his death. Decades later, he was revered among his kind almost like a deity. Incidentally, the cough heard in Revenge of the Sith of Grievous belongs to none other than Star Wars creator George Lucas himself. While suffering from a bad cold during the production of the film, Lucas decided that a chronic cough would be an interesting trait for his new villain. He recorded himself coughing, and after applying some sound effects, the result was the sound we hear in the film today. General Grievous was voiced in Revenge of the Sith and in the Clone Wars by Matthew Wood, the sound editor for the prequel trilogy. When it came to designing General Grievous, George Lucas initially provided only one directive: to create a dangerous droid general. One early concept for Grievous featured a child in a hovering chair. However, this design was discarded because it was hard to believe a child could be the galaxy's most fearsome melee fighter. Another early design concept involved disembodied alien heads floating about on tentacles. Ultimately, the inspiration for Grievous' design was the spray nozzle of a bottle of bathroom cleaner. Thanks to his time as a Kaleesh warlord, Grievous was not only skilled with melee weapons, but was also an excellent marksman, though he rarely utilized this ability during the Clone Wars. But during the Clone Wars, Grievous was arguably the individual responsible for eliminating the highest number of Jedi. While Dooku's Dark Acolytes also defeated several Jedi in Legends, none of them came close to Grievous's sheer tally. In Legends, we know of 49 Jedi whose deaths were caused by Grievous. He didn't kill all of them with his lightsaber. Some died in explosions or at the hands of droids while occupied fighting Grievous, yet all these deaths were instigated by him. In canon, we know of only one Jedi definitively killed by Grievous, Nada Webb. Grievous's cyborg body provided him with incredible strength. It also allowed him to move much faster and survive briefly in the vacuum of space. In canon, a Mon Calamari named Carbon required a cyborg body long after Grievous's death. He too received a body very similar to Grievous's. Grievous's backstory in canon shares some similarities with his Legends history. Here too, he fought against beings from the planet Hook, though in this version, they are known as the Yamri'i rather than the Hook themselves. However, all we know from the canon is that he became a cyborg due to circumstances that are not specified. Before Grievous collected Jedi lightsabers, he collected Sith artifacts and lightsabers. But these were stolen from him by 2 Dark Jedi and they were subsequently destroyed. If you'd like to see more Star Wars facts, check out my video with 50 facts on Star Destroyers. And with that, have a great day and may the Force be with you.